Incendiaries. Incendiary shells contain flammable substance, usually white phosphorus. When it hits the target, the incendiary substance has a high chance of setting it alight. It has no armor-piercing capability though, suitable for igniting fuel tanks, particularly unprotected ones, and engines. These shells are particularly effective when used en masse. The more guns in your aircraft, the faster and brighter you can light up your opponent by literally engulfing it in fire. They can also be used effectively to set enemy boats on fire. Tracers. At the bottom of these shells, there is a special slow-burning substance which leaves a visible trail of various colors or a smoke trail in the air behind the shell. There are variants for night fighters that are less bright than normal tracer, so as to not to blind the gunner. Tracer shells are used to adjust fire. They have no armor-piercing capability, and their grouping is worse than ordinary ammunition because the tracer substance burns out and alters the weight of the bullet. However, these flaws are characteristic of rifle caliber rounds. For 12 to 15mm high caliber ammo, the presence of a tracer does not have any serious negative effect. Very useful for someone beginning to learn how to shoot accurately. Mixed type. These shells can combine various characteristics such as armor-piercing, incendiary, high explosive, and tracer, which makes them universal in any kind of situation. However, this universal nature can reduce their ballistic characteristics. This is particularly the case for rifle caliber rounds, where any additional effects can seriously influence the weight of the round, its accuracy, and armor penetration. At the same time, the combination of armor-piercing and incendiary effects allow them to set fire to even an armored target, delivering their incendiary contents directly to a module. Here it is important to have a good idea of which targets you plan to take on and how. A dedicated type of ammo belts for a certain type of target will be more effective than universal or mixed type belts. For example, if you're planning to attack an unarmored target, it makes sense to use a high explosive shell that is powerful as possible. And on the contrary, for highly armored targets, you should prefer simple armor-piercing shells. Let's discuss the selection of belts. We've gone into types of ammunition, but what about belts? Aircraft cannons and machine guns usually have an uninterrupted belt feed, which is filled with various types of ammo to increase its effectiveness. You can see exactly what makes up the belt directly in the card when selecting shells. For example, if we see IT, HEF, 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 IT, that means that every 5 shots from the belt will include 2 tracers and 3 high explosive fragmenting rounds, and the exact order is indicated. This sequence is always static and cycled. In other words, the order of the ammo does not change as you go through the belt. By knowing the effect of each type of shell, you can select the most suitable belts for specific targets in your attack style. In doing this, look not only on the name of the belt, but on its actual content as well. Study the most frequently encountered enemies at your level. What materials are their aircrafts made of? Which parts of the vehicle are armored, and so on. Take into account your own playstyle. For sniper attacks on cockpits and engines, use belts with a more armor-piercing rounds inside. For methodically tearing apart airframes, your choice should be high explosive and fragmentation high explosive rounds. Do you aim well and want to catch enemy off guard? Select belts for stealth attack. They don't contain any tracer ammo, and the enemy under attack will not know who's attacking them and from where, and that delay increases your chances of a successful attack. When guns of 2 different calibers are installed on an aircraft, which means different ballistic properties, you can also use a stealth clip for the smaller caliber gun so that the low caliber tracers will not affect your aiming with the primary larger caliber and will not lose their penetrative properties. And another important kinetic feature of aerial warfare that isn't always obvious. In frontal attacks, the speed of bullets is combined with the speed of a target coming towards you. Theoretically speaking, the distance is displaced as if the target were closer than it actually is. As a result of such an attack, you might tear through an opponent literally from nose to tail, and the damage dealt will be catastrophic. On the contrary, if you're chasing someone, in other words following the target, the bullet has to catch up to the target first, and the greater that distance is, the more energy it loses along the way. Having caught up to the target, it might simply hit without dealing much damage. However much you hit it, you'll just keep knocking the target and wasting your ammunition. There is a simple rule of thumb for this. For a head-on attack, you can fire from a long range. When firing from the rear, fire at short ranges only. Properly choosing your arsenal already puts you halfway to victory. The rest is a matter of accuracy. Now you know more.